My local community where I am right now is Woodstock, New York. It's in the Catskill Mountains. It's about 2 hours by car north of New York City. And makiguchi always focused on particular aspects of the local community. And what I'd like to do is imagine that I'm an elementary school teacher, or I'm even Makiguchi himself, implementing the community studies program here in Woodstock by looking at water. Water is essential to life. We can't live more than a day without it. Food, everything about our lives is connected to water. One of the key concepts that Makiguchi incorporated in his educational theories was that of Johann Friedrich Herbart's idea of multifaceted interest. And this is a way of thinking about the different ways that we relate to our environment, and that water is not just water. We all need water. Our bodies are 80% water or 70% water. It's integral to life on Earth. So water has economic implications, water has health implications, water has aesthetic implications, water has public use implications. And this idea of multifaceted interest was one way of mapping all of the different ways that we relate to our environment. And for Makiguchi, the ideal of multifaceted interest as a way of life, relating very much to John Dewey's centrality of interest as the core of personality, that a person who's able to relate to their environment in a multitude of ways actually develops a sense of self that is strong, agentic, and capable of changing or adapting to their environment in proactive ways that actually create value. So many different ways of relating to water. And the way I feel like relating to water right now is to put my feet in this delicious cold water and enjoy that feeling, and enjoy the sound of the water flowing in the background on this beautiful June day here in Woodstock. Direct observation of phenomena is a key concept for Makiguchi. And so he wanted students to look at things with their own eyes and think about it. So when we look at this is the water in a normal time. What does these roots tell us? How did these roots get exposed? What level was the water when these roots became exposed? And what does this tell us about the role of roots in holding the banks of a river in place and keeping the flooding, keeping all of this good land and dirt from going downstream? What does that tell us? And in the 1903 Geography of Human Life, Makiguchi speaks about the importance of preserving forests up in the deep mountains as a way of preventing flooding. In the 1890s, when he was going to school at the normal school in Hokkaido, Japan was struck by a number of floods, and he has a chart in the Geography of Human Life chronicling the increasingly deadly floods that were striking Japan. And he attributed this to the destruction of the forests high up in the mountain. And what's interesting to me is that he's not using modern ecological technique to understand this. He mentions that the people concerned with the welfare of society since ancient times have known this principle of protecting the forests at the headwaters in order to preserve water quality and prevent floods. So he's actually reaching back to some very old knowledge and old cultural knowledge in his society and applying it to a contemporary problem. Prior to the invention of steam and electric power in the 19th century, falling water was a great source of energy for most human activities that required more power than either human or animal muscle could provide. And this energy was captured through water mills, and this is an example here. Prior to 1750, there was a mill that was operating here. And the entire industrial revolution of the late 18th century was driven by the power of falling water. The town of Woodstock gets its water from the Sawkill River, but it doesn't get it directly. This is the pump station for Woodstock, where all the water comes from. And there's a well here, and it's a pretty deep well. The water for the Woodstock water supply comes from this pump house, which is bringing up water from what's known as an aquifer. And that is a layer of soil, sandy soil, which contains water and holds large supplies, and that is refreshed or replenished by the Sawkill, which is flowing about 100 meters behind me. It's summer, and so the leaves are all in and we can't see it. In the winter we could see the Sawkill River flowing there, and that's where the water for Woodstock comes from. Sewage is actually a very important factor in preserving the quality of drinking water, and before the Woodstock sewage system was put in, many of our local streams were not swimmable. As young kids, there were years when we couldn't swim in the summer, but after the sewage went in and the bond was passed to pay for it through borrowing of money, we've been able to swim all summer long in all the streams of Woodstock.